Okay, good morning, folks. This is the Desmos session. I'm posting the sign-in link in the chat. If you could introduce yourself by including your name and subject that you teach, that'd be great. My name is Servando Navaez, and I teach math and computer programming at LSL High. This year is Math 2 and Computer Science 1. Hi, James. Hi, Mr. Lukin. Hello, Angela.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, does anyone else need the sign-in link? All right, hello, John. All right, so it looks like mostly math people come here. Okay, that's okay. Oh, and Jose teaches science. That's great. All right, again, here's the sign-in link, and I'm gonna move on to the next slide. Welcome. So, just so norms, participate positively, mute your audio so we don't have any feedback in the background. If you want to ask a question or say anything, you can do it by unmuting the mic or using the chat. Please ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer them in a timely manner. Again, my name is Servando Narvaez. I teach math and computer science at LSL High. And that is my email in case you have any further questions after the session is over. The categories of this one, it would be distance learning, integrating technology, engaging students, which I put twice. And this could be useful for English language learners since images and graphs, it's easier to see what it does, and it's a little bit more difficult to understand an explanation if you're not too fluent with the language. So this would be beneficial for that type of students that are still learning the language. Okay, our objectives. We're going to create an account and sign in. Then I'll explain what it's used for. You've already seen what it was used for in the trailer that we saw in the previous session. We'll go over the basics, some intermediate, and if time permits, we will go into some of the basic programming. If time doesn't permit, we'll go into the activities, the games, and I'll explain some of that, and you'll get to create your own game at the end, especially in the sandbox. All right, please let me know if you have any questions so far. Okay, creating an account. I have not posted the link. I can post it right now in a little bit. So basically, the slides only explain how to sign in. Everything else is I just do it on my own. It wouldn't be on the slides, but I can post it if you still want to. Okay, so creating an account. In order to create an account, you have to go to desmos.com. Your screen should look pretty similar to what you see on the screen. Once you are there, you can click on the graphing calculator button. By the way, there's also a scientific calculator version of this, which is what it's used for state tests like the SBAC. I don't know what test they give in middle school, but it's being used for state testing. So if you're able to have your students practice on this, they would be more familiar with how it works once they take the test. So desmos.com, first step, then click on the graphing calculator. This will take you to the graphing calculator screen, which looks like this. If this is the first time that you're using it and you don't have an account, what you want to do is you want to click on Create Account. After clicking on Create Account, you're going to use your school issued ID. So it's going to ask you first for if you agree to the terms. You have to click yes that you agree, otherwise you can't use it. Once you accept the terms, you can log in with your school issued email and it would sync everything to Google. If you already have an account, you're going to do the same 2 steps. You go to desmos.com, click on the graphing calculator to launch it. And then once you're in this screen, instead of creating an account, you click on sign in. Then you can sign in using Google. And that would bring you to, let me demonstrate just so that you guys see, graphing calculator. Then I'm going to log in since I already have an account. I sign in with Google. There's another pop-up that you were not able to see, but it allowed me to log in. I use the district issue account. And then as you can see right here where the sign in or create account button used to be, now it's my name. Any questions so far? Jose, what you saw is basically all the slides. If you want me to post them, let me know and I can post them right now. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and post them. But other than what you saw, there's not much that you would be looking at. Okay, once you're here, we're going to start by creating an equation. When you create the equation, this will automatically be graphed on the right-hand side. And as you make changes, it will start adapting. So when you create an equation, you can use the notation of y equals to, or you can use the f of x equals to. It will be give you the same result. So I'm going to start with the y so that the equations look shorter. The y equals, let's say you want something that is linear with a slope of 2x, and a y-intercept of 1, and it automatically creates it. Let's say you wanted the y-intercept to be a 3, you erase the 1, put the 3, it creates it right away. And this works for any type of function, anything that you can think of. Y equals sine of x, graphs the sine. And if you look at the sine graph, there are dots right there. I'm clicking some of them, selecting some of them. So those would be the important key features of the graph. You can also find that on the other equation. If you select the equation, you can see that there is the y-intercept, there's the x-intercept, and then there's a point where it intersects the sine function. If you want to make the lines a little bit thicker, you can click on the graph settings, which is on the top right hand side. And on the display right now, I have the smaller text or smaller thickness. Then I go to the bigger one and it makes them thicker. So if you want to use the projector, you want to use the thicker one if the first one is not very visible for students. And once you're here in the settings, you can adjust, you can remove the grid, you can add names to the x-axis, the y-axis. You can add the arrows on the coordinate if you want. You can decide which type of arrows. You can change how much you want to see on the window. So right now on the domain, you can only see from -10 to 10. You can make it -5 to 10 and adjust automatically. The step tells you how much you increase by. Right now, it's going by 0.25, but you can say if you want to go by 1. So everything is customizable right here. Right now we are on radians. You can change to degrees. So everything that you can think of, most likely they have it. This plus sign zooms in. The next one zooms out. If you are really zoomed out and you don't want to zoom in by pressing the zoom in button, if you press the default zoom, the button that looks like a house, it brings you to what we started with. Questions so far? Okay, so other than equations that I just showed you how to type, if you look right here on the left-hand side, there's numbers. Each line is number. You can add as many as you want. Or if you don't want an equation, you can click on this plus sign to select what type of item you want to add. So I'm clicking there. An expression would be kind of like what we have. You can write the equation there. If you want to write a note, that means you're just putting a comment for the students to see. This one doesn't get graphed. So let's say your note is, let's say this equation was in there, and you want to have a note, graph a line with a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 3. So you're giving the students instructions on what to do, and then they would be able to do it here. So I want the slope to be 2, and I want the y-intercept to be 3, and you can provide instructions here for a very simple activity. You can also have add a table. So right now you're adding a table, x1, y1. The table is going to be black. The dots are going to be black. So as soon as you add the points, let's say 1, 2, it graphs it on the screen. You can add as many points as you want. You can enter fractional numbers as well, and it will graph anything that you type in. If you want to modify the way the points look, you click on this button, click and press. And this gives you information. So you can have the filled in dot, so the closed circle, the open circle. You can have the X instead of the dots. So it allows you to graph up to 3 different graphs at the same time and be able to tell them apart with the same color. Of course, you can always change the color, and that gives you more. You can change the size, the thickness of the lines. You can make sure that those dots are connected with lines by putting this one here. You can choose what type of line connects the dots. You can choose the thickness of those lines. You can remove the dots and just have the lines connected. You can be able to drag the point. So if you drag the point, you can allow them to, okay, I want to be able to drag in any direction. And of course, as you can see, the table adjusts by itself. You can determine, oh, I don't want them to be able to drag it in any direction. I only want them to be able to drag it up and down. So it doesn't move sideways, just up and down. So you can restrict which value you want them to change, if any. If you just want set points, you can leave it there. If you click on the circle, it turns off any points that you have on the graph. And by turn off means it disappears. So if you have a lot of information on the table and you only want to see certain information, you can turn it on and off. You can do the same thing with the line, on and off. If you press and hold, you can change the color. You can change solid to dash to dotted line. You can also create a folder. A folder allows you to group things. So for example, I created a folder. I'm going to name it graph and equation and table. Or let's say I'm going to leave it part 1 because you have an activity. Anything that you put inside will have a line coming down from the arrow right here. So to the left of the text, there's a triangle or an arrow. Anything with the line underneath, it's in that folder. So you can close the folder so you don't see it. So it's there, but you don't want the students to see the whole thing. You can open and close it. You can turn off the folder, and anything that it's in the folder is not active. So I'm going to drag the line into the folder, and you're going to see that there's this line right here is going to be continued. Right? The folder is turned off, so that's why the line turned off. If I turn the folder on, the line is on and off. And you can drag anything that you want inside. And you can turn it on and off. Let's say you have a second activity and you want to name it part 2. You just add another folder and it allows you to group things. Right, any questions? All right, the next thing we'll do is we'll look at sliders. So sliders allow you to have the students change the value and discover what happens. So for this, you don't want to put numbers, you want to put the equation. For example, the slope equation, y equals mx plus b. You put it there, and then it asks you, okay, I know the y is part of the equation, I know that x is part of the equation, but what are m and b? So M and B, the Desmos thinks that, oh, well, you're going to need sliders for those because I don't recognize those values. So you can add a slider for one, the other, or both. And then it gives you the values. Let me turn off part one. So here is the line in green. And this is for if you have a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of 1. As you change the slider, the line adjusts depending on what you're choosing. So let's say you keep the slope of 2 and you change the y-intercept, then the line adjusts accordingly. You can also change from what intercept you're allowing. So right now, if you look at the intercept, it goes from -10 to 10. If you click here, you can determine, oh, I only wanted to go from -5 to 7. So now you are only allowed from -5 to 7. Let's say you wanted to play on its own, you click on this play button and it moves. So the students don't even have to drag it, it plays, you can pause. If you click here, you can change it from looping forward. So left, right, left, right. You can only loop it that it goes from left to right. And when it reaches the end, it comes back. You can only show it once. You can keep it going forever. And you can tell it the speed. So let's say right now it's a speed of 1. You can make it faster. Gives you some speeds that you can use. And then when you play it, of course, it goes faster. You can also change, if you click on these numbers right here, you can tell it by how much you want it to go. So let's say you wanted to jump by once. When you play it, it will go by once. So it's customizable, and this applies to the other slider as well. Let's say you're teaching math 2, and you want to show the transformations of vertex form. You would do the same thing. And you can add, it's not letting me add a slider for B. Weird. Okay, let me go into vertex form. Okay. All right, so I'm going to add a slider for all of them, and the vertex form, H moves you sideways, K moves you up. So if as you start changing K, students will notice that, okay, the K increases, it moves up, the K decreases, it moves down. So this allows the students to play and determine what happens. So it's a self-discovery activity. You don't have to direct instruct this. And of course, you can have it play by itself. All right, any questions so far? All right, in that case, I'm going to go over to this one right here for the line from part 1. This one is graphing the entire line. As you can see, this one keeps going forever. Let's say you don't want it to go forever. You can always have a domain or a range. So in order to do that, you create where you want it to go. So let's say you only want it to go up to y equals 20. So you can say y is less than 20, and it only allows the line to go from negative infinity up to 20. This is I've used this for a project in Math 1 where they have to do the picture that I showed earlier on in the SLAM session. And this also allows the students to help with the domain and range that they struggle with when they're in Math 1. So if you tell them, I need you to have a line that goes with the range of negative infinity to 20, they can see up to where it goes. You can also have it on the other side, negative 10. So this is customizable so as to how you want to show. That's for the domain, that's for the range. You can also do the same thing for the domain. Well, let me adjust the numbers. So this only allows them to show from x being 0 to 10. And you can do that for any line that you want. Let's say I add another one. So you can determine how you want it. That's how I created the text of hello. Can you do both domain and range? Yes, you can do both. Same equation. One of them is, oh, wait. One is the domain, the other one's the range.
Servando, excuse me. I was wondering if you can do it at the same time in the same equation, or do you have to create 2 different equations to do it? Is that the way that it works?
I have not tried it. Let me see. So this one allows from y to be from 0 to 10. And then this one allows from the x to go from 0 to 10. So I guess it looks like it dominates. It gives you the bigger window. So it's like the union. So this one would go from right here from 0 from the y-intercept. No, actually, no. This one, the first one would go from 0 to 10, but the other one goes from the y-intercept to 20. So it does the combination of both. I don't know if that's what you wanted.
Okay, thank you. I'll play with that myself. Thanks.
You can also determine the equation of a line. Let's say you don't know what the equation is. You can do an estimate. And this would give you the values of x and y. And if you want to do it from a table, you can create a table. So you can do some statistical stuff in this one. Let's see, residuals. You can do quite a few things with Desmos. And then let's say you have this activity and you saved it. You're able to share with the students by clicking on the top right-hand side. You copy this, and then you can just post this link on Google Classroom, and students would have access to the activity that you create. And of course, you save the master copy, and they can change it. If you click on the pancake right here, that's what people call it, on the top left-hand side, you click there. These are the activities that I have created in the past. So sometimes the activities that you have opened also show up. So like this one right here. This one I didn't create. This one is activities that I've seen in the past. All right, any questions?
Can you download the documents that you create, or you can only save them on the website? Is that how it works?
I don't know. I've never attempted to do that.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go to the custom activities. These are the slightly more fun for the students. These activities could be used for math or any subject. I'm going to show you one that I've already done. And so I have this one that it's the American history one. I did not do this one. I actually found it online. You can find activities online, and then you can edit them. When you do that, it keeps the original the person that created it, and then it says that you edit it and makes a copy of you. So this one gives credit to the person that did it. This is how it looks. I went to the teacher.desmos. I look for this American history because I wanted to show that it's not only for math. I edited it 2 years ago. And this is how it looks. You have the screens. You can preview it as a student. So if you click right here, you will be able to see what the students see. In this case, this is sorting the cards, like matching. So for example, World War I, you can match it with the date, with what happened. So the American Revolution is this picture on that I moved to the top right. I want to match it with the American Revolution, and if you see it clicked in. So you can collapse, or you can show what it is. Then the American Revolution happened starting in 1775. So I'm going to drag it over here. And now it has the picture, American Revolution, and the date. Then we want to know between who fought in this war. So between the Axis powers and the Allies, that's not it. Between the 13 colonies and the British Empire, that is it. You can drag it there, and so they would snap into whatever category that you're in. So this is a very easy way to determine if students remember what's going on in reviewing, or if you want them to self-discover, they would have to use Desmos in connection with, let's say, Google or the book. They're discovering things, and then they're matching them. So this could be a self-discovery, giving them some ideas as to what to start with. They can also have a slide where they type it in. So what started World War II? And then they can start typing in. Right? You can also, instead of typing it in, you can add an image. So if you click right here, students can upload images. They could verbally record the audio. This is a preview, so it's not allowing me. They can add an equation. I mean, I don't know why they would add it for this one, but if they were solving a math problem, they can add an equation. Again, this equation would look similar to how we were adding equations earlier on, and also this equation creator is what they use for math tests on the state. Another type of question, this is the same one, same type. You can also have activities like this one with no picture. And if you do a little bit more programming, you can link two slides. So whatever you type in one shows up on the other one. You can determine if you want the students to share their answers with the class, if you want them to be private, etc. So in order to assign, you go to assign. You can determine if you want to the whole class or single session code. If you click here, you can determine for how long you want them to be active. I usually just put 48 hours if it's a short activity. You can click here, so the students have to sign in and you require approval. I don't really use that. Students have to sign in with their school issue account, otherwise they don't get the points. And then when you click on create invite, it would create a code and it would allow, it creates a code. Then you go to the dashboard, and this allows for the teacher to see exactly where the students are at and what they're doing. So I'm going to share the code in the chat. If you guys could, oh, there it is. If you guys could sign in. So student.desmos.com. This would be really quick, just so that you get to play and see how it looks on your end, and I'll be presenting the teacher end. As you can see on the background, Jose already logged in. Let's say I don't want people to know who's who. I can always anonymize it, and you get the name of a famous mathematician. However, if you hover over as a teacher, you can still see who it is. Right? You can pause the activity. I'm going to pause it, see what happens on your screen. So let's say you want to get their attention. You can pause, blocks it. You can also pace. So here you can determine, okay, I only want them to be in the first 2 slides. So you can restrict to the first 2 slides, and they would only be able to go from between 1 and 2. You can extend, you can stop, you can edit. Let's say, no, I don't want them to, like, they spend too much time on number 1. Let's move to number 2, 3, and 4. And it would forcefully move you to the next one. You can stop that. If you look at if there's nothing here, that means the student has not used this. If there's the dot, it means they started it. I'm in the X. If it's the dot, that means the student is currently on that slide. And for me, as a teacher, I created the solution. So if I click here, it would show which ones are correct. So at the bottom, it tells me that none of them are correct because none of them are stacked. I can provide feedback. I can make it into a full screen, etc. Right now, this is the summary view, but you can also go into snapshots. You can take snapshots of what the students are doing. You can see the teacher version, like no responses so far on the 4th slide, no responses so far on the 2nd slide. On the 1st slide, Jaime Escalante has matched 2 right here. I can click to see if they're correct. They're actually, Jaime is not doing them correct so far. Right, so Jaime now has 2 correct ones because they are in blue, and it shows that there has to be 4 on that group. So if I don't show correctness, it only shows how many stacked, but if I show correctness, it says, okay, 2 are correct, 2 more need to be added to that group. You can also go to the student view, and you would see what the student would see this, so you're able to preview as they're doing it. Let's say you have graphs, you can overview. So right now, my Jemison connected the American Civil War to this one, and then the American Civil War by itself. You can show more, show less, etc. All right, I'm gonna pause a little bit, see if you have questions, and give you some time to play with that.
Servando,
Yes.
can you show us the best way to browse the activities that are available to us so that we can see what we can use and not use in our classes?
Yes, I will do that in a little bit to give you some time to play with this one. All right, we're going to move on. So whenever the students are doing this, they get so into it that when I pause it, like they're like, "Oh, I was almost done." So I like to give them a heads up, like, "All right, we're going to pause this activity in 2 minutes." That way, they know it's coming, and they would not be as disappointed when they're having fun with this activity. So I'm going to pause the activity and then show you what Jose was asking about. Right, I'm gonna share the other tab instead. So this is where you have the more activities. You can choose from anything that already exists, or you can start making your own. In order to get to this, you have to go to teacher.desmos.com. And this is the home screen for the Desmos activities. At the top right hand side, you can see that it's mine. And on the left hand side, you can allows you to browse through activities that already exist. So anything by in the feature collections, this it's most likely by created by Desmos. So this one is the starter screen, and then you see by Desmos there's 7 activities. They give you a short description of the activities. So Desmos has there's some features that we don't have available to us, but because Desmos created it, of course they have access to anything. Let's say we're doing this one right here, the distance learning algebra. I'm going to click there. You can have the match my line. It tells you that they created it. They estimate that this would take from 45 to 60 minutes. And this is a practice. And then there's a short description. You can click on the plus sign if you want to add it to your collection, or you can just open it. So let's say I open the marble slides. It gives you more information. Tells you that, okay, you cannot use this with the mobile device, but you can use this with the tablet or a laptop. It has been translated to these languages by Desmos, and then volunteers translated it to this one. I believe the Desmos ones are accurate. I have never checked this too because I don't speak those 2 languages. And then if you click on this, it takes you back. So I'm going to click on the marble slide activity, and it gives you screenshots, so kind of like a preview of what's to come. If you want to try it out yourself, you can click on student preview. This is the one that I showed in the trailer. On the left hand side, if you look, there's a You can add more things. You can only add a note, an expression, or a table, but there's no need to add anything here. So they chose notes to give you information as to what to do. So you're going to click on the launch, and the marbles fall down, and you capture all the stars. So that means you succeeded on that one. You can move on to the next one. Number 2, this is the one that I showed. It has some teacher moves. It has some sample student responses, basically the correct one. So right now, this is what you have. If you click on launch, it would not be successful because it didn't capture any stars. If you change this to a -2, it moves the line down. So this time when you launch, it would capture all the stars with the marbles, and you would be successful. Of course, the students wouldn't be able to see the sample response. This is just for you to see. So I can close that off. The students would only see the top part. You can move on to the next one. And then it gives you an idea. Okay, I want to reset if you want to keep doing it. So if I go back after I launch, I can reset and continue doing it just in case you move forward and then it's not working again and you want to go back to see how you did a previous one. You can always reset. Like this one right here. So there's different graphs that you have to change. This one you have to change the slope. All right, any questions?
I have a question. How do we search for lessons created by other teachers in our district? Because I know there was a Hardin teacher who created awesome lessons. I was hoping I could look for those.
If you know the name of the lesson, you can click on the search bar. Let's say you want to do some quadratics for Math 2. You click quadratics, enter, and it will give you all the results for quadratics that are available. Like the top ones were created by Desmos. Then the next one was created by Jill Dempsey. Corey Ulrich created another one. Desmos created one more. And then you can keep going down, and that's everything that has the word quadratic in it that you can use. If if someone that you know created it, this you can also do a search on Google. So let's say I just went to Google and then I did a search, right? Teacher.desmos.com, quadratic functions, and then you can click on those, and then it will take you to the activities that are available that has the word quadratic in it. If you know the teacher name, type in the teacher name.
I don't remember her name, but she was at Hardin. I don't know if it was Adrienne. I don't remember the name, but I'll look. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Or they can also share with you. So anytime someone creates a lesson, they can share with you. Or let's say the one where we were at, the one by Desmos, you can always go over here on the 3 dots, copy and edit so that you can change from whatever, anything that you want to take out if you don't want all the slides to be there, or you want to add instructions to vocabulary that you use, or anything that you want to edit. Or you can share the activity. If you click there, you can do it on Facebook, Twitter, or just copy the link and provide it with someone, and they would have access to it. Or you can create your own. For example, I have some custom activities that I've created. So here are some of mine. Like I have this is for Math 2, I believe. This is a game. This is a polygraph game where they can solve the problem or just ask questions. Like on this one, you can ask about the exterior angle theorem and the triangle angle sum theorem. Or you can use I need to use a sine, cosine, tangent to solve it. So depending on what you want to have. Let me show you an activity that I show the students for whenever is the first time that we're doing this. Actually, we have to take a break. We'll do that in the sandbox. I'll put the activity at the beginning, and then you can play with it and ask questions afterwards. I'll look for the activity in the meantime. But for now, let's take a 15-minute break. I'll be here in the background with the camera off, but if you have any questions, please type them in. The 15-minute break, we'll be back by 11.
Are we going to use the same Meet for logging in, or should we log out and log back in?
I'm going to use the same Meet. I'm going to stay here.
Okay, thank you.